The sea is often described as calm, endless, and silent, but history tells a very different story. Beneath that calm surface lies tension, power, and the constant possibility of conflict. In early 2026, something happened that made the world stop and look toward the ocean once again. Images began spreading across social media. A massive warship, surrounded by smoke with crew members rushing across its deck. The ship was identified as the USS Gerald R, one of the most advanced and powerful aircraft carriers ever built. Within hours, panic began to spread. People asked questions. Was this an accident, or was it something much worse? Some believed this was the moment a war had begun, a war between the United States and Iran. But as the story unfolded, it became clear that what people believed and what actually happened were not the same. To understand why this moment created such fear, we need to look at the bigger picture. The relationship between the United States and Iran has been tense for decades. It is a relationship shaped by politics, military strategy, and deep mistrust. Over the years, there have been sanctions, threats, and close encounters. Naval ships have crossed paths in narrow waters. Fighter jets have monitored each other from a distance. Drones have been intercepted and shot down. One of the most critical locations in this ongoing tension is the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is one of the most important oil routes in the world. A significant portion of global oil supply passes through it every single day. Because of this, even a small disruption can have global consequences, and that makes the region incredibly sensitive. In recent years, there have been multiple incidents involving commercial ships. Oil tankers damaged by explosions, cargo ships reporting attacks, mysterious events with no clear responsibility. Each incident added pressure. Each event increased fear, and slowly, the world began to feel like it was waiting for something bigger to happen. A fire had broken out aboard the USS Gerald R. For most people, this was not just any ship. It was a symbol, a floating representation of military strength and technological power. Seeing smoke rise from such a vessel created immediate concern, and in a region already filled with tension, people quickly assumed the worst. Social media platforms were flooded with posts. Some claimed that the ship had been attacked. Others said missiles had been fired. A few even declared that war had officially begun. The speed of these claims was incredible, but speed does not always mean accuracy. Inside the ship, the situation was intense, but very different from what people imagined. The fire did not come from an external attack. There was no missile strike, no explosion caused by an enemy. Instead, the fire started internally, somewhere deep within the ship's operational areas, in a section used for daily activities. For the crew, this was not about geopolitics. It was about immediate danger. Fire alarms sounded throughout the ship. Lights flashed. Smoke began to spread through narrow corridors. In an enclosed environment like a warship, fire is one of the most dangerous emergencies possible. There is limited space, limited escape routes, and the risk of the fire spreading quickly is always present. But the crew was trained for this. Sailors immediately moved into action. Firefighting teams grabbed equipment and rushed toward the source. They wore protective gear. They carried hoses and extinguishers. They moved through heat and smoke with discipline and focus. Every second mattered. Every decision mattered. Because in that moment, they were not just protecting a ship. They were protecting each other. Communication became critical. Orders were given clearly. Teams coordinated their movements. Some worked to contain the fire. Others worked to ensure that nearby systems remained functional. It was a complex, dangerous operation, and yet it was carried out with precision. Slowly, the fire was brought under control. The damage was limited. Several crew members were injured but survived, and the ship itself remained operational. It did not sink. It did not collapse, it endured. While the crew was fighting the fire, a different kind of event was unfolding across the world. Information, both real and false, was spreading rapidly. Videos were shared without context. Old footage from unrelated incidents was reposted. Headlines were written before facts were confirmed. Millions of people saw the images, and many believed that a military attack had taken place. This is one of the defining characteristics of the modern world. Information travels instantly, but verification takes time, and in that gap between speed and truth, misinformation can grow. In this case, the result was global confusion. Some people believed that war had already begun. Others feared that escalation was inevitable, but the reality was far more controlled. There was no confirmed attack, no official declaration of conflict, just a fire and the fear it created. Although this specific incident was not caused by conflict, the region itself remains dangerous. There have been real attacks on commercial vessels. Oil tankers have been damaged by explosions. Cargo ships have reported strikes. Shipping routes have faced increasing risks. These events are part of a larger pattern of tension. They may not always lead to war, but they increase the possibility. Each incident adds uncertainty. Each event raises questions. And in an environment like this, even an accident can be misunderstood as an act of aggression. That is what makes the situation so fragile. Behind every headline, there are people. The sailors aboard the USS Gerald R are not just part of a military machine. They are individuals. They have families. They have fears. They have responsibilities. When the fire broke out, they did not think about politics. They did not think about international relations. They thought about survival. They trusted their training. They trusted their teammates. And they acted. This human element is often overlooked, but it is one of the most important parts of the story. Because in moments of crisis, it is not technology or power that matters most. It is people. The question still remains, how close is war? The United States and Iran both possess significant military capabilities. Both have the ability to escalate, but both also understand the cost. A full-scale conflict would not remain limited. It would affect global trade, energy supply, international stability. That is why, despite tensions, there has been restraint. But restraint does not mean safety. The risk is still there. And as this incident showed, it does not take much to create global panic. This was not a story of a war. It was a story of perception, a story of how quickly fear can spread, and how easily reality can be misunderstood. The USS Gerald R continues its journey. The region remains tense, and the world continues to watch, because the next incident may not be an accident. And when that moment comes, the consequences could be far greater.